Israel emerges between desert, sea, and sacred stone, like a land suspended between ancient prophecy and modern reality. Across this narrow stretch of the Middle East lies a landscape shaped by empires, religions, wars, and civilizations that have risen and fallen for thousands of years. Golden cities stand beside endless deserts, while ancient fortresses, sacred temples, and surreal natural wonders reveal a world layered with history unlike anywhere else on Earth. From the silent depths of the Dead Sea to the towering cliffs of the Galilee, every region carries its own atmosphere, mystery, and unforgettable presence. Some places feel timeless and peaceful, while others still echo with the weight of conflict, faith, and survival carried across generations. In this journey, we will explore extraordinary landscapes, hidden wonders, and legendary sites that continue to captivate travelers from around the world. This is not simply a journey through Israel. It is a journey through one of the oldest and most powerful crossroads of human civilization itself. Akko rises beside the Mediterranean coast like a city suspended between empires, where stone walls, ancient harbors, and narrow alleyways preserve thousands of years of conquest and survival. Massive fortifications built by Crusaders and Ottomans still surround the old city, creating an atmosphere where every passageway feels layered with forgotten history and distant echoes of war. Beneath the surface, hidden tunnels and underground halls stretch through the ancient foundations, revealing a labyrinth once used by knights, traders, and rulers moving through one of the Middle East's oldest ports. Golden sunlight reflects across weathered limestone buildings, while fishing boats drift quietly along the harbor that has connected civilizations for centuries. Markets overflow with spices, sea air, and the sounds of daily life, blending cultures that have shaped Akko through generations of migration and conflict. Recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the city preserves one of the most complete surviving examples of a fortified Mediterranean settlement from the Crusader era. Walking through Akko feels less like visiting a historic destination and more like stepping directly into the living remains of an ancient world that never fully disappeared. Arbel Cliff towers above the Galilee landscape like a colossal stone wall, carved by geological violence and centuries of human survival. Sheer limestone cliffs plunge dramatically toward fertile valleys below, creating one of the most breathtaking viewpoints anywhere in northern Israel. Ancient caves carved into the mountainside once sheltered rebels, monks, and entire communities hidden within the natural fortress of the rock itself. From the summit, the Sea of Galilee stretches across the horizon beneath layers of rolling hills and distant mountains, fading into pale desert light. Strong winds sweep across the cliffs in complete openness, carrying a silence broken only by birds circling through the immense canyon below. The landscape transforms constantly throughout the day, from soft golden sunrise tones to fiery evening light, illuminating the rugged terrain in deep shadow and color. Standing above Arbel Cliff feels like witnessing the immense scale of nature and history merging together across one of the oldest inhabited regions on Earth. The Baha'i Gardens descend across the slopes of Mount Carmel like a perfectly sculpted paradise, where symmetry, silence, and spiritual devotion combine into one of the most extraordinary landscapes in the Middle East. Terraced gardens stretch in flawless geometric patterns from the mountain summit toward the Mediterranean coastline far below. Every pathway, fountain, and line of trimmed vegetation appears meticulously arranged, creating an atmosphere of absolute order and serenity against the surrounding cityscape. At the center stands the golden-domed shrine of the Bab, glowing beneath sunlight like a beacon rising above layers of gardens and white stone stairways. Palm trees, flowering plants, and flowing water create a striking contrast against the dry hills surrounding Haifa, transforming the mountain into a living work of art. Recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the gardens serve not only as a spiritual center for the Baha'i faith, but also as one of the most visually astonishing architectural landscapes in Israel. Standing within the Baha'i Gardens feels less like visiting a public landmark and more like entering a carefully designed sanctuary, suspended between earth, sky, and sea. The Dome of the Rock rises above Jerusalem like a radiant symbol suspended between history, faith, and centuries of devotion. Its massive golden dome dominates the skyline of the ancient city, reflecting sunlight across sacred stone courtyards that have drawn pilgrims for generations. Built during the 7th century, the structure stands among the oldest surviving masterpieces of Islamic architecture anywhere in the world. Intricate mosaics, arches, and geometric patterns cover the interior and exterior with extraordinary detail, blending artistry with profound spiritual significance. The sacred rock beneath the dome carries deep importance across multiple religions, making the site one of the most contested and revered places on Earth. Around the monument, ancient walls, prayer calls, and the distant sounds of Jerusalem create an atmosphere unlike anywhere else in the world. Standing before the Dome of the Rock feels less like observing architecture and more like confronting thousands of years of belief, conflict, and human history concentrated into a single sacred space. The Sea of Galilee stretches across northern Israel like a vast freshwater oasis surrounded by hills, ancient villages, and landscapes deeply connected to history and faith. Morning mist often drifts gently across the water, while sunlight slowly reveals fishing boats and quiet shorelines scattered along the lake's edge. Despite its name, the Sea of Galilee is actually a freshwater lake, serving as one of the region's most important natural water sources for centuries. The surrounding hills change color throughout the day, shifting from soft green and gold to deep blue shadows beneath dramatic skies. Ancient towns and archaeological sites line the shores, preserving traces of civilizations that flourished around these waters for thousands of years. The calm atmosphere here contrasts sharply with the harsh deserts farther south, creating a landscape filled with unusual tranquility and openness. Standing beside the Sea of Galilee feels like entering a timeless landscape where nature, history, and spirituality continue to exist in quiet balance. The Golan Heights rise above northern Israel like a rugged volcanic frontier shaped by conflict, ancient geology, and vast open wilderness. Rolling plateaus stretch toward distant mountain ranges, while deep valleys, basalt cliffs, and scattered ruins create a landscape both harsh and breathtaking. In winter, snow occasionally covers the highest elevations, transforming the dark, volcanic terrain into a striking contrast of black stone and brilliant white peaks. Waterfalls cut through rocky canyons, while vineyards and green pastures emerge unexpectedly across the fertile highlands. The region carries immense historical and strategic significance, with traces of ancient civilizations and modern conflict visible across the terrain. From elevated viewpoints, the surrounding landscapes of Israel, Syria, and the Sea of Galilee appear stretched endlessly beneath open skies and drifting clouds. Standing within the Golan Heights feels like witnessing a frontier where natural beauty and geopolitical tension have coexisted for generations. Jerusalem stands at the crossroads of civilization, like a city shaped by faith, conquest, and thousands of years of human history. Ancient stone walls surround a maze of narrow streets where sacred sites, marketplaces, and centuries-old buildings exist side by side in remarkable density. The city carries profound importance for Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, making it one of the most spiritually significant places anywhere on Earth. Golden evening light reflects across limestone architecture, giving Jerusalem its legendary glow as church bells, prayer calls, and distant voices echo through the old quarters. Every district reveals another layer of history, from Roman ruins and Crusader structures to sacred temples and hidden courtyards preserved through time. Tension and devotion coexist constantly here, creating an atmosphere unlike any other city in the world. Walking through Jerusalem feels less like exploring a modern city and more like moving through the living center of human civilization itself. The Judean desert unfolds across eastern Israel like a vast wilderness shaped by wind, stone, and endless centuries of isolation. Towering cliffs, dry canyons, and barren plateaus extend beneath intense sunlight, creating one of the harshest yet most visually powerful landscapes in the region. Ancient monasteries cling impossibly to cliff faces, while hidden caves preserve traces of civilizations that once sought refuge within the silence of the desert. The terrain appears almost lifeless at first glance, yet subtle colors emerge throughout the day as sunlight shifts across layers of rock and sand. Extreme heat and stillness dominate the atmosphere, interrupted only by distant wind moving through narrow desert valleys. For thousands of years, prophets, travelers, and wandering communities crossed these unforgiving landscapes, searching for survival, solitude, and spiritual meaning. Standing within the Judean desert feels like entering a timeless realm where silence itself becomes part of the landscape. Masada Fortress rises above the desert on an isolated plateau, like the final remnant of an ancient kingdom, refusing to disappear. Steep cliffs surround the mountaintop fortress on all sides, creating a natural stronghold overlooking the vast emptiness of the Dead Sea region below. Built by King Herod over 2,000 years ago, the complex once contained palaces, storage halls, defensive walls, and sophisticated water systems hidden within the desert. The site later became the scene of one of history's most dramatic sieges, where Jewish rebels made their final stand against the Roman Empire. Ruins of towers, baths, and stone pathways remain remarkably preserved beneath the scorching desert climate and relentless sun. At sunrise, golden light spreads across the cliffs and surrounding wilderness, transforming the ancient fortress into one of the most unforgettable landscapes in Israel. Standing atop Masada feels less like visiting ruins and more like witnessing the enduring symbol of resistance, survival, and human determination. The Negev desert stretches across southern Israel like an immense sea of rock and sand, shaped by erosion, silence, and geological time beyond imagination. Vast canyons, jagged ridges, and endless plateaus create landscapes that appear almost extraterrestrial beneath the burning desert sky. Despite its harsh conditions, hidden oases and isolated communities emerge unexpectedly across the wilderness, revealing life surviving in one of the driest regions of the country. At night, the desert transforms completely as darkness reveals one of the clearest, star-filled skies anywhere in the Middle East. Ancient trade routes once crossed these barren lands, connecting civilizations through caravans moving between Africa, Arabia, and the Mediterranean world. The silence here feels immense and uninterrupted, giving the landscape an almost surreal sense of scale and emptiness. Standing within the Negev desert feels like confronting the raw and ancient forces that shaped the earth long before modern civilization existed. Ramon Crater opens across the Negev desert like a colossal scar carved into the earth by millions of years of erosion, pressure, and geological transformation. Stretching over 40 kilometers across the desert, the massive formation creates one of the largest erosion craters anywhere in the world. Layered cliffs reveal ancient rock formations in shades of red, gold, black, and pale white, exposing the hidden history of the planet beneath the desert surface. The landscape feels almost extraterrestrial, with twisted ridges and barren valleys extending endlessly beneath an enormous open sky. During sunrise and sunset, shifting light transforms the crater into waves of glowing color, casting dramatic shadows across the rugged terrain. Extreme silence dominates the atmosphere here, broken only by desert winds sweeping through the immense canyon below. At night, the crater becomes one of the darkest locations in the region, revealing brilliant constellations and a sky overflowing with stars untouched by city light. Standing above Ramon Crater feels less like overlooking a desert and more like witnessing the exposed bones of an ancient planet. Tel Aviv rises along the Mediterranean coastline like a city driven by energy, creativity, and endless movement beneath the heat of the Middle Eastern sun. Modern skyscrapers, crowded beaches, and historic neighborhoods blend together into a vibrant urban landscape unlike anywhere else in Israel. The city pulses constantly with music, nightlife, cafes, and cultural life, stretching from sunrise until deep into the night. Along the coastline, waves crash against golden beaches, while palm-lined promenades fill with cyclists, artists, travelers, and locals moving through the sea air. Historic districts, such as Jaffa, preserve traces of ancient civilizations beside the rapidly expanding modern skyline. Tel Aviv is also recognized globally for innovation and technology, earning its reputation as one of the leading startup capitals of the world. As evening falls, the city transforms beneath glowing lights and ocean winds, creating an atmosphere both cosmopolitan and deeply Mediterranean. Standing within Tel Aviv feels like experiencing the collision of ancient coastline history with the relentless pace of modern urban life. Timna Park spreads across the southern desert like a forgotten prehistoric world, filled with towering stone pillars, copper-colored cliffs, and ancient geological wonders. Massive sandstone formations rise from the desert floor in surreal shapes, sculpted by wind and erosion over countless centuries. Among the most famous landmarks are Solomon's Pillars, enormous natural rock columns glowing deep red beneath the desert sun. The landscape shifts constantly between rugged mountains, dry valleys, and open plains that appear almost untouched by modern civilization. Archaeological remains throughout the park reveal evidence of some of the world's oldest copper mining operations dating back thousands of years. At sunset, the desert ignites with intense shades of orange, crimson, and gold, transforming the entire valley into a surreal sea of color. The silence of Timna feels immense and ancient, giving the region an atmosphere both mysterious and overwhelming in scale. Standing within Timna Park feels less like visiting a natural reserve and more like stepping into the remnants of a forgotten world buried beneath the desert. Yad Vashem stands on the hills of Jerusalem as one of the world's most powerful memorials dedicated to the memory of Holocaust victims and the preservation of human history. The museum's architecture cuts sharply through the landscape, creating a solemn journey through darkness, silence, and remembrance. Inside, photographs, personal belongings, testimonies, and historical records reveal the devastating reality faced by millions during one of humanity's darkest chapters. Long corridors and carefully designed exhibition spaces guide visitors through stories of loss, survival, resistance, and unimaginable suffering. Beyond the museum itself, memorial gardens and monuments overlook the Jerusalem hills in complete stillness and reflection. The Hall of Names preserves the identities and memories of countless victims, ensuring their stories are never erased by time or silence. Every part of Yad Vashem is designed not only to document history, but to confront visitors with the consequences of hatred, violence, and intolerance. Standing within Yad Vashem feels less like visiting a museum and more like entering a place where memory itself becomes a responsibility carried across generations. As the landscapes of Israel slowly fade into silence, what remains is more than memories of deserts, ancient cities, and sacred monuments. This land reveals a rare collision between nature, history, spirituality, and human endurance, unlike anywhere else on Earth. From the ancient walls of Jerusalem to the vast emptiness of the Negev desert, every place carries stories shaped across thousands of years of conflict, devotion, and survival. Some locations inspire awe through beauty, while others leave behind reflection, mystery, or the quiet weight of remembrance. Yet together, they form a landscape that feels timeless, powerful, and deeply connected to the origins of civilization itself. Israel is not simply a destination seen through maps or photographs. It is a place where the past continues to breathe through stone, desert wind, and sacred ground beneath every step. And long after the journey ends, the echoes of these extraordinary places continue to remain in memory like fragments of another world.